I think I'm recording now. I hope I am. It's me, Cary. It's been a long time since I've had a video up. This video is going to be on a truck that I bought. It's a 2006 Silverado. It's a pretty nice condition, but when I got it, it had a few codes. It had an evap code. It had a 171, which is a mass airflow sensor, or air infiltration after the mass airflow sensor. And it had a knock sensor on the second bank, okay, which is the back one. It's kind of pretty. It happens to a lot of the Silverados because the way the motor's set in the back, and you've got like a little cup that the knock sensor fits into, and water flows down the hood. Sometimes it gets into there, gets underneath there, settles around the mass airflow sensor, and rusts it out. This is what I understand. Now, I've cleaned, on the 171, I basically cleaned the motor, I cleaned the mass airflow sensor, and checked the intake air supply. And what I found was that it was loose. The intake air supply had lots of air leaks, and the mass airflow sensor was a little bit dirty. So I cleaned it, tightened it up, and it pretty much dealt with that code. I checked the evap code. I think was just nothing more than a gas cap, because it's gone. It's been gone for a couple hundred miles now, so I'm sure that's not an issue. The knock sensor went away, so I'm assuming, and you know what they say about assumptions, but I believe that water essentially was underneath there when I bought it, and it drew up a code, right? And since then, running the vehicle, it's evaporated and gone away. However, I did a what do you call it? Diagnostic on the motor, and I believe I found a problem. It came up that there was what it came up with is my fuel trims, long-term fuel trims, were about 17, 18 on one bank and 0 on the other. And then on my short terms, we're jumping from 0 to 3. You're supposed to add those numbers up. So that means that one bank was about 20, I guess it's percent, I'm not quite sure, on the long-term fuel, reading. And from what I've read, that's a little on the high side. It's just below setting the code. So what I'm doing, and then after that, I did a smoke test. I took the air intake tube out. I charged it up with smoke, after the mass airflow sensor. I charged it up with smoke, sealed everything that I needed to seal, filled the motor up with smoke, and what I noticed was smoke was coming out from underneath the intake manifold. So I went back to the diagnostic, and I started to rev when it was cold, I started to rev the RPMs up, and I noticed that the fuel trims were getting better, which led me to believe that you had some air infiltration. Okay, so that jives with the smoke test. And then after I let it warm up, it also got better. So that's an indication that my intake manifold gaskets have a leak in them. All right? If you follow me so far, we've tested it up to that point, and we have an issue with the air intake manifold gasket. Well, not the air intake, the manifold gasket. So I bought some Felpro gaskets, the good kind, the kind that that don't snap on the intake, but rather sit on top of the head bolts, which I think I paid $56 or something on eBay for it. I bought, while I'm in there, and being as I had that knock sensor code, I decided, well, you're going through all this work to take it apart. Let's change the knock sensors. So I've got two GM knock sensors, and then I bought a knock sensor wiring harness. I don't know the condition of mine. I don't know if we're going to be able to pull it out properly. There could be a lot of corrosion on the terminal ends. We don't know. So better to have it, better to replace it, so we don't have to deal with it. This is the truck. This is let's just show you the side of the truck. It's a nice little 2006 Silverado. It has an extended cab, fully equipped. I'm going to show you, I don't know if you can see the inside of this, but it's got the controls in the steering wheel. It's got OnStar on the mirror. The seats are in good shape. Got a little bit of fading here, but there's no rips, no tears. Electric seats, power windows, power door locks. When I bought it, the passenger side door lock did not work. Tore it apart. Found that the motor on the lock mechanism had broken off. It just came out. So believe it or not, all I had to do is glue it back together and with some super glue, and knock on wood, it's been working fine ever since. Speakers didn't work in the front. Put 2 new speakers in the front while I was at it. So yeah, from the get-go, it's in pretty nice shape. It's got the flare fenders. This thing had a little damage, so this one flare doesn't sit properly here because somebody apparently chipped it. But they weren't on it when I got the truck, so I put them back on. This is in really nice shape. I went underneath the truck for a couple days, and there wasn't a lot of rust on the frame, but there was some surface rust, so I wire wheeled the whole thing, and that's dirt. But I've cleaned it with metal, acid etching, the acid, I think, chrome cutter, and that pretty much dissolved all the surface rust with a wire wheel. And then I sprayed it with rust converter from Eastwood afterwards. So the frame's in great shape. It was in great shape when I got it. Actually, I was very pleased with it. Anyway, so here's what we got. Here's a nifty little tool. It saddles the tires so that you can climb in and work. Now, I don't know how well I'm going to be able to show you what we're going to do here. I'm going to come back and forth with this camera. I'm not going to make one of these continuous videos, but let's see if I can do this right here. Okay. What I'm planning to do, first of all, is I got to take this air intake tube off. Okay. Disconnect the battery. Before I do anything, pull the relay out of the gas pump. Start up the motor, make sure she runs dry. Put the cover back on or set it to the side. Take off the negative terminal on the battery so we don't discharge any issues to the sensors and have a problem. Take off the top. You'll see that the wiring harness is going to be interesting. Disconnect the throttle body. Disconnect the purge valve. Disconnect all 8 fuel injectors. We're going to leave the fuel rail on. Disconnect the PCV vacuum hose and the throttle body vacuum hose. Disconnect the map sensor, the brake booster hose in the back. It's either going to be disconnected in the back or it's going to be disconnected on the power booster. I'm not sure which yet. Depends on how hard it is to get back there. What else? There'll be a few other things, I'm sure. The alternator's got to be disconnected, the wire. We'll leave the alternator on for the process. Throttle body has to come off, and there's 2 ways to do it from what I understand. One is you pull you disconnect the cooling hoses underneath of it, which is probably the easiest way for people, but you're going to lose some of your antifreeze, some of your coolant. The other is just to unbolt it, adjust the radiator clamp just a little bit on the far side. That should give you enough clearance to unbolt the throttle body and let it hang in that open gap right there. I've watched several people on videos that do that and are successful. So we're going to get started. I want to thank Scanner Dan for putting up his diagnostic for vacuum leaks on intakes, because it was very helpful, and it led me to where I am today. Now let's get started. I'm going to go ahead and start the truck up, show you the codes that I've got on this code reader, and we'll see. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it very well or not, but we're going to try here. Okay. Right off it says turn the key off, then on. We have it off. So we're going to, let's see if I can get this to hang on here more comfortably for us. We're going to see what happens. We've got it on. We press enter, working. So it's communicating. It's now indicated what it is, 06 Silverado. Boom, click that on. Not all supported, we don't care. And it's working, it's reading. Let's see what we got. So we've got two ECM codes. Let's find out what they are. One is a mass or volume air flow A circuit. A circuit, low input. Okay, I'm suspecting that is my intake manifold leak. It's intermittent, which would read all codes, and then we go down. Bank 1 system 2 lean. That would corroborate with a air infiltration, and it would jive with the first code. We start it up. Okay, hit enter. And we're going to go into data stream. View data. Let's let the vehicle respond. What I should do. No, we're going to make a custom data. So we don't need to know everything. Do you want to know? I don't need any instructions. We want the coolant temperatures. It would be a good thing to have. The RPM would be good. No, it's in closed loop. I know that, so I don't need that. It's the air intake temperature. Let's go with that. Long-term fuel on bank 1, on bank 2. Mass airflow. We don't need the mil. We don't need the O2s. They're actually working. Let's short-term fuel. And bank 1, short to improve bank 2, and then let's go into it. There we have it. There's the code, the systems that we need to check. You can see the coolant's at 187 degrees. You know that it's in closed loop. The engine speed is at 557 560 RPM. The air intake is at 77 degrees. That's your outside air. Your long-term fuel on bank 1 is 17.2. That's out of spec. Short on bank that's on bank 1. On bank 2, your long-term fuel is at 6.3. That's not too bad. You know, that's what we hope. Short-term is 0.8 and 0.0. And if you notice, bank 1 is a little higher than bank 2. Now, let's rev the engine up to 2,000 RPM, 2,500, and see what happens. All right, now you notice that your long-term fuel rate has gotten better. It's down to 10.2. Short-term has also gotten better. It's in the negatives. That's an indication that you are getting air, unmetered air, after the mass airflow sensor. Okay. Short-term, long-term fuel trim should be the indicators there. All right, you really should check it when it's got a cold motor. That gives you your best indication. But anyway, why we did this is so that we can compare before and then after. If our long-term fuel trims go down, and that's going to take a little while because that's a learned number, meaning the computer learns the condition of the motor using the oxygen sensor, the mass airflow sensor. I'm not sure if they use a map sensor for so much, but it basically just reads the motor, looks at how much oxygen you have, and then bounces it off with fuel. So that gives you your long term. Your short term, you want to keep it around 0 to 3 is okay, you know, on your short term, but you don't want movement when you raise the RPM. You don't want it to decrease. You want it to pretty much stand the same way it is. Now, the mass airflow sensor is 0.62. That's actually not bad because it's a 5.3 motor. You would want to see it around, 0.553 to 0.60, I guess, 0.65. So it's not bad. So all in all, I don't really have to do, from reading this, I don't really have to do the what do you call it? Intake manifold gaskets. However, it is running lean. That's not good for the motor. It could damage a valve, if it gets worse, and it's only going to get worse. And we're going to hope for a little bit of better fuel economy. Christ, around here we're paying, I just bought gas at $2.85 a gallon. So if I can save a little bit there, I'm good with that. All right, so we are going to see how things go. Let's shut this thing down now and go to work. So anyway, I'm at my buddy's garage. He's got a really nice garage, like 40 by 40, and it should make things a little bit more easier. So let me turn this off and I'll be back. Okay? Okay, I'm back. I've got her all disconnected. Got the, it's taken me an hour to get to this point, and half an hour is searching for a frickin' 8mm socket and quarter drive that I dropped, and damn, I have no idea where I lost it. I lost it here. It fell down in the front here of the end in front of the radiator and just disappeared. It's nowhere here. I mean, because it was before I even started working on the damn thing. Anyway, I got the intake unbolted. The hardest part was getting these fuel injector connectors off. And you know what? There's a frickin' trick. Not only do people say release it by popping it back and pulling it up, but if you see this little tab right here, this little gray tab, you want to run it, hold on here, you want to get this, because you've got to push that in. I can get this thing right. I'll edit that out, I hope. Anyway, what you want to do is there's a little tab right there. So you want to pull up this blue tab, right? You've got to slide it out, pull it up, but you want to get it to right there so that you can push down and it releases that little trigger. But if you do that, it comes out okay. But all the instructions I've seen online say pull it out and then push the tab in. Well, that's bullshit. This little extra line right there covers, watch it, covers, let's see if I can get it on. It's always one-handed as a bitch. Anyway, it covers that little gray button. So what you want to do is you want to have that line where you see 1, 2, 3 pieces of plastic there, so that you can push that little tab in. You see it? See it going back and forth? Because any other way, I'm sorry, people say they use picks and screwdrivers and the rest of it. This is the best way I found to do it. Raise this up Son of a bitch. Let's see if I can show you on another one here. Right, see, there's the tab, right? Raise it up to the point where it's unlocked, then take it a step further, which brings you to that, and then push on that tab, and then pick it up. Otherwise, you'll be there freaking all day. Anyway, so we got all that. We got all the fuel injectors disconnected. We got the map sensor disconnected back here. We got the NOx sensors off right here. We got the fuel lines disconnected back here. We've got the the throttle bodies pulled forward. The trick is to turn the radiator clamp down, which will give you enough room to pull this forward. We got the line, the vent line on the throttle body disconnected, and we got the EGR valve off, and we're ready to take the intake off. So let's see if you can watch that. Like that's nothing to see, it just comes up and out. But we'll see. We'll see if that happens, if that comes out. Where am I going to set you? I guess right here. Of course, you are a bitch. That's all you do is curse when you do this. But you slide it up and out. What do you call it though? Shit, the evaporator line has to go under the fuel rail. So what you do is you raise it completely up and you fish it down. Fish that bitch down, and hopefully she's going to come down. Well, it does in all the videos I've seen. Yeah, it does. It just takes a little bit of persuasion. And here we go. Got the line. The intake is off. Now you get to see what I have to clean. There is the mess I have. You got to make sure you don't get it all inside here. So now that I've got the intake off, it's going to be time consuming to clean all this up and hopefully put it back on and she's going to run good. Anyway, that is what I'm dealing with. It looks like some critters or something made a home in there. It's got some turds in it and some nuts and the rest of it. But we'll get to it. All right, I'm going to turn you off. Thank you. That's the thing. All right. We clean the intake, the valley pan. And to give you an idea, inside the holes, it looks pretty good. You get a little oil coming up from the bottom, obviously. Just a tiny bit. I don't know if that's going to make a difference or not. This is the one that had the problem. But it's pretty much clean now. I don't know if you can see that. Compare that to that. I'll have to examine that a little bit better, but I think it's in good shape. Well, you can see the sidewalls are. I used a wire brush on it. A brass brush to give you an idea. Well, you can see the valve stems. It looks pretty good. Well, you can't hardly see shit. I'm surprised. You can see. Personally, up close you can see them, but they don't look. There's not a lot of carbon buildup on the valve stems, which is what I would have expected. I think overall it's in good shape. It's a whole lot better than it was. We're ready to put the new knock sensors in and the new wiring harness and build the dam. We're going to seal the caps on, because I noticed that the other ones, you know, actually they were tight, but they were also loose, meaning that you could turn them around. You could turn the caps of the knock sensors around, the little rubber tops. So, you know, obviously water could have gotten into them. Here's what we got as far as the knock sensors. This was in the back, as you can see. Well, as you can see, I hate saying that all the time. But that's the, it's got some corrosion on it. It's got some corrosion on the inside at the connection. That could have been what was causing the intermittent problem. Maybe as easy as cleaning that, but we're not going to do that. We're just going to replace them. We got the new ones right there. This is the front one. It was good, and you can see that it's really nice shape. Really nice shape. If that's the original one, which I doubt. Okay. I mean, it's a GM, I believe. Sure looks like it. But in any event, we're going to replace it. Here's our old wiring harness, and this is the one that was in the back. No, this is the front one. My apologies. This is the back one. See how there's a little rust and just bullshit around the terminal end, around the center plug where it connects into the microphone. See how this one's clean? Shit. I am so fucking uncoordinated. Anyway, you can see the front and the back. The back has the corrosion, and the front didn't have the corrosion. The tip actually was a little better. But anyway, we're replacing them with a new wiring harness. I don't know if this, I ordered GM, but you know what? I don't know that these are actual GM wiring harnesses or not. Maybe not, maybe not. I mean, I ordered the kit with the GM AC Delco knock sensors and the wiring harness, but I don't see any markings on anything on the wiring harness. Let's take a look at these numbers here. Oh shit, here we have 12589867, which is the GM part number, and AC Delco is the 2133521. So apparently GM's factory number is down at the bottom. AC Delco, which is GM, is at the top. But look here, made in Mexico, which we've seen so many times with aftermarket parts. So anyway, we're ready to install these. We're going to put them in, or torque them in at 15 foot-pounds, because that's the torque rating for knock sensors. Then I'm going to put a bead of red silicone, gasket maker, Permatex, around the boot of the wiring harness, and then I'll build a half moon, well, it'll be a 3/4 moon, what do you call it, bead of silicone on top, so that when around it like this, 3/4 around, so that if water hits the front, it won't go into the sensor. It'll scoot around it into the channel and then down. And the same thing in the back. It'll be a 3/4 moon around it to prevent the water from going into the can that the knock sensors are in. That's what GM recommends. Also, on the back of the intake manifold, you have two foams. I hate to turn this thing over. It's still got oil and gas. Front and back. Okay, so we've got the Velcro gaskets in. This is the kind that sits right onto the the bolts, you see? And sits onto that bolt there, sits onto this bolt right here. Got these Velcros for 56 bucks. Got my horseshoe silicone going around. I've got my new knock sensors in. We tried to torque them, but you know, it is what it is. We'll see. And now we're gonna have to put it all back together again. Be back when she's done, when she's hooked up. Okay, folks, this is our diagnostic after the intake gaskets have been replaced in the knock sensors. We're now at 616 RPM, which is good. We're in closed loop. We have a long-term fuel of 10.2, whereas it used to be 17. We have a short-term of 2 on bank 1, and it's jumping between 2 and 5 on bank 2. 2 on long-term bank 2. Let's see what it does when we give it gas. Now, if there was an intake leak, then you would see these numbers go significantly down. It did. There still may, no, I don't think there's a leak. I think we're good. Like I said, we came from 17 to 11 on bank 1. Bank 2 was always around 2. We're at 0 short-term fuel level on a closed loop, and that means right now our temperature is 154 degrees. So our intake manifold gaskets are heating up and closing up any gaps. But I think we got it. Look at that. Long term's gone to 0. It's correcting itself, which is what you would expect, because we just finished the job. The computer's trying to figure things out. But from 17 down to 8 and 9, oh my God. And the mass airflow is 0.71. It's a 5.7 engine. It could be, we might have a bad mass airflow sensor, but I doubt it. We just have to let it run for, take it for a test drive and see what she does. But I think we got it. Let me just show you a quick trick though, because everybody always has a problem trying to reach the back bolts on the intake manifold. See, now that she's nice and warm, our engine speed is about 569 and holding. You know, that general area. I think that's pretty good. We'll have to see. So remember, the real fuel trim is the combination. So if you've got 7.8 and you subtract 0.3 from that, your long-term fuel trim is at about 4 actually. You see, because it's the sum total. If it was positive, then I think we're there. I think we're right on the money. Let's see what it does at 2,500 RPM. Look at that. 7 and 1 on short term. And 7. We're good. We're good. We're much better than it was. Okay, well, let me show you a quick, it's not a trick. These grills, let me tell you something. I told you the thing about fuel injection connections, right? If you take this front grill out, which is really an easy thing, then you're stepping on the bumper, okay? You're kneeling on the bumper working on the engine. Let me tell you, the back bolts on these, the back bolts over there, I don't know if you, oh man, having a hard time. The back bolts, I'm trying to point at it, but you know, I'm not fucking doing the job. Pardon my language, I'm just tired, been here all day. But the back bolts are a real bear to get to. And remember, the torque sequence on the intake manifold gasket is 44, then 89. Now my torque wrench didn't go below 60, so I did it at 60, then I did it at 71, and then I did it at 89. So let's see if I can get this thing. What's going on? There you go. Now you can see better. So the back bolts there and there are a real bear to get to. That's what I was talking about. But the motor's doing pretty good. I lost my cap on my my evap. It just popped off. I have no idea where it went to. Well, I'll have to pick one up. But the motor is idling really good. I mean, that thing's, look at that. I mean, it's much better. Much better than before. Before it had a little bit of a shake to it. Now she's doing really nice. She's learning right now, so give it an hour or two of driving. I bet she'll be in great shape. All right, and remember, when you start this project, pull your fuel pump relay out when you start the truck. That and let it run till the engine stalls out, because that literally will drain the fuel line, and you won't have a big problem with gas there. You still have gas coming out, but not much. All right, well, that's it for this little project. Now, I didn't give you a step-by-step. There's a million of those step-by-step videos, and quite honestly, I think they're a waste of time. You know, people should just give you what you need to know to do the job, and then let you go. And I think I did it. Okay, that's it for this. Thank you. Have a great day, guys.